Yo nací en República Dominicana. Cuando yo salí de mi país, prácticamente como cualquier otro latino, sale de su país en busca de mejoría económica. Pero le teme a que al salir de su país, le teme a perder su calor humano, de sus raíces, su cultura.
Buenos días, papi.
Entonces ahí dije, bueno, ahora buscaré el lugar más acogedor para establecerme en Miami. Y ahí fue donde descubrí esta gran comunidad que se llama La Pata.
Buenos días.
La comunidad de La Pata me acogió de una forma muy bendecida.
Dame un poquito más de vasito de esto, mi amor.
Y tuve la oportunidad entonces de establecerme aquí como barbero.
Dime, mijo.
What I love the most about Alapata is the people and the culture and how warm it is and how welcoming you feel. And sometimes we feel that that's what's going away. Unfortunately, in the past few years, it's been in the threat of redevelop. And I said the threat because we want the community to be part of it. And when the community is not part of it, then they end up being displaced.
Alcanzó para mí. Salud.
Se siente el desplazamiento. Ya él ahora mismo ya dice, ya ahora en cualquier momento, no sé en qué momento me voy a despertar, me van a decir que tiene que cerrar. Ese es el desplazamiento al que le tememos.
I want to welcome you to Miami. As many of you know, my name is Mileika Burgos Flores. I am the CEO and founder of the Alapata Collaborative CDC. Thank you so much for choosing Miami as your destination for SBAN.
We are really here as part of our learning. There's a lot of SBAN members here who are doing work all over the nation. And so this is really a chance to learn from each other about the amazing work that we're all doing to keep small businesses in place.
That's where the University of Maryland and the Small Business Anti-Displacement Network becomes so important because we converge, all of us are thinking, how do we prevent displacement of our small businesses? We don't have a map. We're all trying to figure it out.
Right now, we are on what we call Alapata Main Street. It's basically the commercial corridor. So this is like proper Little Santo Domingo, from the park all the way to 36th Street.
That's I-95 right there. If you can see on the other side, the graffiti that's on the other side of the highway over there, that's Wynwood, and there's new buildings that are happening over there. So here on 7th Avenue, what you're seeing is artists being displaced in a way out of Wynwood, people being priced out of that area, and this kind of being one of the last borders.
Hola, ¿cómo estamos?
It's more than a job. It's a commitment to the community, to those that came before me, to my children, so they know where they come from.
El señor Pablo es icónico aquí en el pequeño Santo Domingo.
Es un barrio donde la mayoría de dominicanos, ya nuestros padres y nuestros tíos, se crearon en este vecindario donde crecimos todos nosotros.
Businesses on the corridor know that this is about passing down the cultural heritage and economic also heritage that we're building in this commercial corridor. So that's why we are making sure that we can strengthen our small businesses, that they have the resilience to go through things.
Al paso del COVID, Habíamos personas que estábamos con la mano en la cabeza a punto de perder el negocio. Y a la Para Collaboration sacó la cara por nosotros, no solamente para apoyarnos ellos, sino para decirnos cuáles son los procedimientos para ampararnos de algunos programas que estaban ahí.
Providing them free access to accounting, to social media and marketing, to lawyers, and helping them do grants and have the access to capital that they need, and building that community of small businesses that help each other.
Mi sueño como pequeño comerciante sería acostarme tranquilo, no pensar que al día siguiente voy a llegar aquí y me digan que mi negocio tiene que cerrar. Eso lleva la tranquilidad a mi casa porque mi familia depende de estos negocios.
¿Ya terminaste el desayuno? ¿Eso es chocolate corté? Ok. Well, this right here is a bizcocho mojadito. I'm making it for graduation. And it's a yellow vanilla sponge cake moistened with almond syrup and almond-flavored frosting. And this is what you eat at all the celebrations in Puerto Rico. I grew up on Division and Hoyne. My parents bought a house on Division in Christiana. Division Street has always been full of life and culture. You walk by and you hear loud music and cars playing. It's just who we are. Just very loud and proud people. We're trying to keep that culture alive.
This is one of the areas with the highest concentration of public art anywhere. You're walking in an open gallery. You're walking in a living museum. In 1966, there was a huge uprising right here where you're standing. The people demonstrating their anger against a system that had marginalized them. This building here has murals, and all those murals are Puerto Rican political prisoners. The neighbors there did a campaign to erase those murals. That is colonialism at its worst, because it's the removal of people's memory.
Humboldt Park is one of the largest, most beautiful park districts that we have the privilege of being a part of. And that's why when you walk down California, you see multi-million-dollar developments reside right across the street.
We have an alternative to not just combat gentrification, because our existence isn't only about resistance, it is about thriving. It is about anchoring. And so there was this concept of Puerto Rico Town that came up.
I wonder if you can just talk a little bit more about your forward thinking and your vision for some of the small business anti-displacement goals.
The idea is, how do we use the designation to be able to really realize and materialize what it means to have, small businesses sustain themselves.
This is Lily's record. It is a 40-year-old business here. This is an authentic Puerto Rican homegrown business. A cultural designated district means an area in which you infuse every element: health, economic development, education, housing. All of those are infused by culture and the validation of culture. In any Latino community, this is the most important institution, is the Botanica. This has been here for generations. Culture is food, culture is housing, culture is all of our basic needs. Okay, pues Zoraida es la creadora de esa increíble comida, así que Zoraida is celebrating the 35th year right here on Division Street. So for us, you cannot really distinguish where culture ends and our very survival begins. They are totally intertwined. What does that mean in terms of small businesses? We start people out with a pop-up business. We move them into a business incubator, and then we graduate people to have their own brick and mortar enterprise.
I was established at the Mercado del Pueblo. I had a little kiosk. They walked me through licensing. They've just always motivated me and walked hand by hand with me. We eat food every day, right? It's an essential thing in life, but it's also an art form. It provides comfort, it's warmth, it brings nostalgia. And so that's what I do here at Chucherias, and I'm proud of that. Puerto Rico Town will be here forever, no matter what comes to our community or how much we are pushed out, it will always be Puerto Rico Town.
My grandparents came to Los Angeles in the 1940s, and they came to this neighborhood, as a matter of fact. My grandmother and my mother, as a child, used to walk down Whittier Boulevard. After they took Chavez Ravine from the migrant workers, the people who were of Mexican descent, they all kind of flooded over here to the east side of Los Angeles. People of Mexican descent come from Mesoamerica, and they were brilliant people and botanists, really. And they developed corn, they've developed amaranth, and they sought out the most nutritious foods. And so me being half Mexican and half Native American, I felt like reintroducing these foods to this community that it comes from is like the main thing that I wanted out of this. Was to do a really good job in the community that I grew up in, sharing what I've learned throughout my life. One, we don't have the startup funds to start businesses, and two, other people from other parts of the country feel like this is a cheap building for $2 million and they can flip it for $7 million. If property value gets out of reach, then we have no choice. And so now we're fearing being displaced just by that.
Hi everybody. I'm so happy to welcome everybody to Los Angeles. You should know that LA right now is at a crossroads, I think. I think a lot of people are feeling that we are in the middle of extremes. Last week there was data that came out that said homelessness went up again. It went up 9 to 10%.
Inclusive Action is a nonprofit economic justice organization. We're a certified community development financial institution, a CDFI. What that means is that we have a division that's focused on getting capital into the hands of people that haven't been able to get it. We began to see that one of the issues that people were facing was displacement. And many folks are being displaced because they didn't have any ownership over land or the properties that they were working and living in.
Question, what's driving gentrification in this neighborhood?
Yeah. What's driving in this neighborhood, it's a lot of this community here, it's like over 7% renter occupied. So there's not much land ownership here already as it is. And then there's the arts district. We're gonna be going across the bridge that has like new high-rise development going up. So there's a lot of speculation. We're gonna have the Olympics here, we're gonna have the World Cup here. So people are looking what's next to develop.
Welcome everyone, welcome to Las Fotos Project. We are a photography mentoring organization. So we use photography as a way to support teen girls and gender expansive youth with building up their self-confidence, their self-esteem, advocating for their community. Typically we have our students doing things like talking to local residents about gentrification.
In 2016 and 2017, there was a lot of activism in our community around gentrification. Most of the businesses actually are just tenants. And so we began to talk about this in the public discourse about what are the tools that we are developing to help people own. And in 2019, we created this initiative called CORE, which stands for Community Owned Real Estate. Together, we acquired 5 commercial buildings on the east side of LA. And the idea here is not only to preserve those businesses and sign them up for long-term leases and keep their rents at an affordable rate. The goal is actually to share ownership with them.
The really great thing about rent controlled is that that's like one of the more stable things that we can rely on as a nonprofit organization. So being able to know that my rent is not gonna go up, I know that for sure, I can just continue to budget that. For as long as we've been here, it's been, a very short time period now, essentially a full year of like in-person programming. It's really become a place that folks rely on, not just our students, but our local community as well.
Hello guys, welcome to Malinali. This is plant-based, vegan, nutrient center for our community out here.
And what was this space before?
This was a subway. This is a recycled subway that we put to good use. And like I said, without the help of Inclusive Action, having this building, having this opportunity, I mean, we didn't have $250,000 to start this business. I think the ancestors put us here for a good reason. Capitalism is designed in that way. It's designed to bring prices low so that people who have lots of wealth can take advantage of that. But just because it's designed that way, there's a counterpart to that, and that is the community. The stronger the community is, the more trust we have with each other, then we'll always find a place to be. No one can displace us from that. We're very tenacious in that way. What I'm very excited about is that there's entrepreneurs like myself, and if we're smart enough and if we're wise enough, the community will bond together like we always do. And look, we're still here.
This work is really personal to me. I think that the emotion that drives it is anger, it's rage, but then it's also coupled with love because I see the community members out here, I see the entrepreneurs that are hustling, and if they're in this fight, we gotta be in this fight too. We are so honored to be part of Small Business Anti-Displacement Network. We see ourselves as part of a universe, a constellation of organizations and leaders that are trying to think about how do we solve these issues. And so I think it's super important that we connect with other people and that we learn and we share notes and we're open source with these projects because that's how we get better.
What are the lessons learned? I think more importantly is what were the relationships built?
All of us are thinking, how do we prevent displacement of our small businesses? So we have our strategies, they have different strategies. I'm gonna try your stuff, you're gonna try my stuff, and then how do we make it work for our own communities?
Aquí estoy yo como barbería, al frente está la peluquería, al lado está el Power Nurse, esos son los míos, pero entonces más al lado también está el bakery, que es donde busco el café, al lado está el dry cleaner, allí está la tiendecita dominicana, y todo ese tipo de comercio que son los que nos hacen fuerte a nosotros, somos los que tenemos que unirnos. Y eso es una de las cosas que a veces cuesta un poquito de trabajo, llevarlo ahí al nivel de convencimiento que unidos somos más fuertes. Y unidos es más difícil que nos desplacen.